That's recording. Awesome. Okay, guys. We are back at it again. The next day. So let's open up Resolve here. So it took much longer than I thought, and we didn't even finish. Probably bit off a little bit more than I can chew. Or, I mean, not really. It was like, if you think about it, it was 2 different scenes, interior, exterior, and it was 37 shots total. And I didn't start grading right away. And I'm talking out loud a little bit. So if you're watching this one and not the first one, because I'm definitely gonna have to break these up when I upload it. I'm treating this like a look into grading, like how it actually looks like real time, right? It's not pretty. Sometimes we're trying things. Sometimes we're like just really looking at it. Sometimes and to be honest, I've done jobs before where I'll go boom, 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 really fast. Like you just exposure, white balance, some saturation, and proper color management. Like I don't have the budget, right? Honestly, to spend the time, you know. So, you know, you keep on going. You go really fast. And to be honest, a lot of people, like most of the times, the little details you get when you start adding a little bit more nuance, all this, it's the law of diminishing returns, right? So sometimes it's beneficial just to be that fashion efficient. And then knowing if you can actually do those extra things faster, right, when need be. So this is another reason why I'm kind of recording these. So this can be almost like a diary, like a journal, a diary, like, you know, a daily kind of thing. If I do it and I record myself and I see, whoa, this is actually how long it actually took, you know, and you know, I'll subtract a little bit of time because, you know, when I'm really working for a paid client, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm just really focused. So, yeah. So like I said, I'll probably have to write some kind of disclaimer at the beginning of all these videos. Play some music. I'm not going to have any. If I play music, it's just going to be for me. You can minimize the screen if you want to do something while you can play this at 2x speed, 3x speed, whatever. A lot of times, and this is really why most colorists never upload their full sessions. Because it's boring. We love what we're doing. Like we can spend hours, you know, in a dark room. But it's tedious, you know. So I'm treating this camera right here like it's an intern, and he's sitting with me and shadowing me for a day. That's my, well, not even an intern. Like even people that are experienced, sometimes it's always beneficial, or people are just curious about how other people work, you know. So that's what I'm doing. So now that we got fresh eyes from yesterday's grade, let's see what mess we made. Because usually when you come back after a break from the computer, you're like, did I do that? Man, I don't remember it being that bad. Or the opposite. It might have been like, oh, that was pretty good. I was down on myself for a while. But yeah, let's see this. Let's see what we did yesterday, if my tablet turns on. And here you go, guys. If you have a tablet, try to turn it off and on near the Bluetooth antenna. So yeah, I'm not necessarily teaching while I'm doing this. I'm just speaking out loud. So, you know, this is not the kind of video where I'm going to cover one cool little thing and do a 2-minute video. It's gonna be nice and edited and blah 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 and all that stuff and be catchy. Hey, like, you know, like a quick tip. I could do those, but this is what it is. This is real-time grading. This is how it looks like. A lot of times I see people in the comments of other color grading videos. It's like, oh, can I see how the process looks? And they start to get into it, but then it's like, it's not really the, and I'm surprising myself. So maybe in the future I can make it shorter, for sure, by just selecting fewer clips to grade. It's that simple, you know. So let me just check to see if my monitor is picking up the 4K, because I know sometimes it gets iffy. And the HDR stream. My reference monitor, there we go. Yep, it's on. Because I put the computer to sleep, I didn't actually turn it off, so I was debating whether it would adversely affect how I'm gonna resume the project. So, okay, let me see here. We are in Resolve. We had the scopes up. Let's get situated again. Let's look at the light box real quick. Whew, too fluorescent. I remember now, right before I ended, like my eyes were just tired, that I had come to the conclusion that I was going to adjust the primaries in an earlier node. Not make a new node, just fix one that I made before. Because the whole purpose of this grade is to make these two scenes work well together, but to have a look that translates well among everything, so I don't have to make a lot of clip level adjustments. Man, it's like that overall fluorescent magenta tone. Everything's kind of matching good. Off, on. Remember, I was trying to make a sinister, foreboding, something's bad gonna happen later on in this fake movie grade. So I settled on something with some green in the shadows, and we'll go from there. So I just don't like how it's like this like weird fluorescent tone in the skin. I need to make this look more natural. Let's just be on one shot right now. So, just so you guys know, this is the most I've ever done on a timeline grade. Usually I keep things in groups, but I'm trying to see how much translates before I get into the group, and then before I get into the clip grade. You get me? So I'm trying to do as much as I can in a timeline level kind of thing, because I color manage with nodes as well. So let's do this. Let's take this down. So okay, if I do source down here, yeah, there we go. Okay. See if my Zoom is still working. If not, I have to restart. Oh no, it's still working. Awesome. So I'll try my best to kind of zoom in, guys. It's I love using the pen when I don't have to zoom in, but zooming in with the pen is a little harder. But everything else with the pen is much easier. I love having the control. So we'll see how it works, because I do not have a regular aspect ratio. It's a wider screen for my GUI. which I like for editing. Not too wide though. I've worked in a studio that I used to work with a long time ago. They had this like huge, like I had to like turn my head left and right, so it was just too much. I think this is a good, like a 2.39 aspect ratio monitor, which this is what this is. Perfect. Like not just wide enough. It's just wide enough. So let me see if I can turn on this camera or this monitor just to make sure that this one's filming right. So this is, I'm treating this like, hey, you're over my shoulder, you're looking at what I'm looking, because I've sat people down with me in the past, you know, when I'm mastering audio or stuff like that. So this is going to be, yeah, there you go. Okay, you can see me now. There we go. Awesome. If you set one of these to original size and you don't touch that again, like do not, you know, click on one of these again, original size or whatever. Do it once and do not touch it. And then every node tree that you come across, if it's not in view, you need to move the nodes in view. You can't do it again because then all the other ones are going to be off. Just a little tip. Okay. So that's the outside. That's the inside. So like this one, I gotta like, I gotta bring it down. I go to the timeline. I mean, you can do it, but always go back to the original tree that you were setting it on. And then go back. You see? Now it's in the middle. Okay. So I think where I went wrong yesterday is now we're just reevaluating what we did. We're going to try to finish up. And then maybe I can... I can start doing clip level stuff if needed. So I'm just looking at the difference between this group and this group. Okay, so I didn't really do anything in this group. I really just increased exposure here. That's what I did. Okay, I brought that down to make it look more normal. And here's the cool thing about like when you're bringing out the grade and you're really pushing everything and then things start getting a little bit deeper into the wrong direction, it makes it easier to go upstream and adjust the node upstream now that you see the end result of after all the grades, because that upstream adjustment earlier seemed awesome until everything else started making it messy and stuff like that. So okay, let's select two of these shots again and shut this off. This is tomatoes in there. Oh, okay, this is a good scene. Okay. And then I got, let's do this one and then this one. Then I go over here and say selected clips. Okay, and then let me hide that. Hide the timeline. I don't need it. Okay. Because It's always on the bottom left. That's the active one. Well, not necessarily. That's a neighboring clips. If I select this one now, this is active. See? Okay, so that's not really affecting the scope. So I'll leave the outline on. Okay, free clip, free clip. So I don't have no noise on. Well, I want to do motion blur. So let's add this motion blur because I made it into a shared node already. I just never put it into the other group grade. So let's do that first. Cool, and it's already off. So those two are shared so that if I make an adjustment here or make an adjustment in this group, it will track. You get me? Like they share this. The only thing different in this, just to make it more obvious, is the, let me add a little space, is the noise right here. The noise and then the additional exposure, and I just played with the exposure right there. Yeah, there you go. Interior exposure adjustment with the noise. So let me turn this off. There we go. Turn this back on. Okay. Now that we know where we're at in that. Man, I hate how this is like all the clip levels. Like, maybe I gotta do this. I gotta go to the timeline level and bring it up. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just, see, this is what I'm trying to avoid, having that on every single shot. What would happen if I do this? Okay. Okay, now the clip level stuff is in the screen. Just a little quirk about having your node tree set so that you don't have to adjust stuff. See, this has multiple stuff in there. I don't know why. Okay. Not gonna touch this. So I had a little bit. This was a post clip, so I think the pre-clip of this one, of the interior, I was adding more exposure. So I wasn't necessarily adjusting, I was just adjusting the exposure down here and the exposure in the dark. I wasn't messing with the color wheels, but then in the post clip, what I put is, I messed a little bit with the wheel. See how it's off center right there on the bottom left? Yeah. Right there. So I did mess with the actual cut, the RGB of that. So that's why I put it in the post clip. So I'm just trying to remind myself kind of like what my thought process was for why I did this grade. Let me see here. We have like the actual look itself is everything here and not this last node. That's color management. So definitely brought everything into the same world. I just don't like that magenta kind of thing. It's a little bit, it went too far now. Now that I see it with fresh eyes, that like weird kind of fluorescent thing on their skin. You get me? But everything's kind of matching, so I can just make one adjustment in this Primaries tab. So let's play with this for a little bit. So now I am on Primaries wheels. Look. Okay. Just so you guys can see there. And another trick for this too, if you click this little button and the keyframes, it brings it up to fill the middle, and then when you go back to the scopes also fill the middle. But yeah, but then I can always take it out and I can leave this thing in here as info, because I like having these two up all the time. Vector scope, so I can kind of see. And yeah. So let's see, you know, this is skew inters. Let's take away some of that magenta. I like where I landed with the printers before, you get me? So that's why I don't want to mess with the printers, but that could also be the second step right here. That's where I was, you get me? So, yeah. Yeah, it definitely, like, we did do some good work in terms of matching the two shots together and then creating a vibe. Like, this is not just, I don't want to just color correct it, you get me? Color correcting it would have been basically just this, which is not even color corrected, it's just color managed. But yeah, so definitely there's a vibe there. Vibe, awesome. So I'm just trying to pinpoint what I don't like about it, because then I'm gonna make one small adjustment and it'll fix the issue. I don't want to have to keep on doing all these little things, you get me? Yeah. I'm in this tab. Okay. You know what, before I mess with this node, here's a cool little trick. If I add a corrector, just not attached to anything, and I copy this by holding on Alt to that, later on I can just switch them out using Ctrl drag. So this is saving what I had before. So if I go too far, make too many adjustments, I don't know where I started, that's a good little trick to kind of keep it. So I keep it right there. There we go. So primaries, let's just say primaries 1. Primaries V1, let's just do that. So I know it's a version. And then let's label this Primaries V2. All about being able to leave yourself breadcrumbs to retrace your steps, because when you're working with other people, you want to be able to be like, hey, I liked what we had yesterday, or I like what we had like half an hour ago, or whatever, you know. I'm on my micro panel now. Let's try to do some of these knobs. Let's just reset all the RGBs for all of these. Okay. Can't have the qual. Man, I wish that was a feature. If I can have the qualifier tool toggled on with split screen on, because it doesn't work. Okay, that's okay. Let's just take it off then. Focus on this guy. So it's right there. To be honest, I might just lower the saturation. That might just fix everything. Let's see what this node was doing. That was very subtle. Like the sat versus lum thing was very subtle. I might have to throw in a sat versus sat thing. See, look, if I hold down Ctrl and I switch it out, I go back to where I was. You see how I had that split tone in with the lift gamma gain? Keep this here. Okay. So what I had. Let's reset the RGBs again. Oh, I'm on the wrong node. See if I contract Control, it switches them. So that's a way to. It's a good way to audition nodes. So this is the change. Because I don't want to just toggle this on and off because it does have Luma adjustments. You get me? So here, let me show you down here. See these Luma values on the bottom left? The white That I like. So I'm going to leave that. I'm just focusing on the color of the wheels now. Okay, we're on V2. Let's mess with these knobs then. See what we come up with. Let me just make it gain. Ooh, I think I had a good. So sensitive. Which is a good thing. Like, I'm not, you know, like, just touch it because you know when we're close. You know what I might do? I might just like lower the luma of these skin tones with a warper at the very beginning. Let's audition these clips now. That's what I had. That's what I did now. Yeah, I think the problem was just maybe I can do something in the log with the highlights. A little bit more subtle. And do this high range here. Press Alt and drag. So this is the one that's causing a lot of problems too, my log adjustments. Yeah. So same thing, just so we can see it before and after to where we had it, right? Let me drag this. Alt, copy it. So now we have a saved version of this node. And these are just the log wheels. So now let's reset this. Yeah. We might not even need this node. Sometimes less is more, people. That's where I was trying to go too far yesterday. And it looks more natural now without that. Like, but I was missing something. Yeah, his skin is like right there. On the line. It's a little bit magenta, so let me do this. Let me like I still have the high range and low range set to where I like it. Now let me move the wheels here. A little bit more green. Then the highlight's gonna go towards what about blue? Yeah, I like that. It's a more muted overtone. Blues and greens. I don't need to create that little sunset kind of feel, you get me? I can make it more jury. Or even just white, like plain white. The way it is, but let me take out some of that blue. Like not so much. To be honest, I might even take out the saturation of the highlights. That's something to do in the HDR zones. So let's do this. Zero that out. Go to HDR zones. And then lower the sat of the light. But let me see what it works, how it works here. See that light loses all that flavor that it had. Cause I like that flavor, if anything. So this might not work for both scenes. One story, two scenes. Let me rename these so I know which version I'm looking at. V2. V1. This is a good way to audition looks, people. Let's just see where you went wrong. Okay, I really like where V2 is headed. But I'm losing the character in here. But maybe it's not a character that I wanted to have. Because it still has that nice tone. Everything's really warm, but it's not right. It's like foreboding. That's what I want. Look at the shadows. Yeah, it's definitely got definite green in here. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, this is a weird kind, like, because when you're watching a story, you're not gonna say, "Oh, that's not how it looks like." You know, you're watching a fake story. Everything's gonna be, because you have the extra benefit of whenever you have someone watching a piece of work, whatever you showed them since the beginning, as long as it continues with that, that's the world of that story. You get me? Now, if this was going up against a commercial look, of course you're gonna see something off. But this is a creative, foreboding, sinister kind of great look. Mm-hmm. See, it doesn't do too much for the interiors, but for the exteriors, oh yeah, I had zeroed it out. That's why. Yeah, this is the cause of that look on his face. That weird kind of fluorescent thing is what I did before. Now it's more natural looking. But I do want something in the sky. I do want something in the sky. I can still have it live in that green world, but I can take it out a little bit. Or just, blacken out the blacks and play with that low range. Now I gotta charge my wireless keyboard before it goes kaput. Okay. Okay. me go crazy with this. I just want to see where it starts affecting the skin. I can get more of a, see the light at the bottom? With that gold tone. I mean, it can be warm, but not too warm. From magenta. Just nudge it. So I clean up the blocks a little bit. And get the high range even closer. Okay. And this is where working with other people is a benefit, because we're, you know, everyone having a voice. Like sometimes you need an opinion. You need someone to be like, I don't know, because like you're conflicted. You're like, you could go out of direction, you know. And sometimes you're not the best judge because you're so in it, in the weeds. So usually in collaboration, I would grade like 1 or 2 hero shots really quickly and send them like, hey, is this the direction you want to be going in? And then I'll spend the time to really finesse the grade and all that stuff, you get me? But yeah, we're just all in grading this because we don't got to answer to nobody on this video. Okay. Let me just delete these. Keep just the V2s. Ba, 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 ba. I don't want to look at the horrible stuff anymore. Okay. I clean up the blacks, but not too much. You get me? But you see her pants right there? Like, I cleaned it up on the top left. And her hair a little bit, the shadow. Let me do that dense kind of skin tone. Maybe this is where that DCTL might work out really nicely. Or maybe I do the warper. That's this one right here. Lower that luma. See, it starts breaking. was at 50 at first. So if I lower it and then I start feathering it, it goes back. Oh no, that's not the feather. Can't feather Luma. Yeah, maybe this is not the best tool for this. Density, let's try this one. No. I need to see everything now. No. Do a Hue versus Luma. Trying to see how this works. And let's just do, instead of like picking, right, which will be right there. Well, let's try both, because we can. I'm following this path here. think we're done at the timeline level, ladies and gentlemen. Like, once you start doing things that don't benefit every single shot, it's not, you know, it's done. There we go. Just gonna grab in the face right there. See, let's exaggerate this so we can see here. Sat versus sat. And I think here, now I can, now that I see what it's doing. Man, it's like, okay, let's go back to this one. Do a hue versus hue, and then let's swing these magentas. There we go, just a little bit. Look how sensitive that. Look at his forehead. Like, he's white, he's gonna have blemishes, you know, but like the color grade comes up, brings it out too much. See it on his nose, on his forehead, those little, yeah. So kind of even it out a little bit. Rotate the red. You know, we're down here, it says 13%, so look, before, well, this has two things happening to it. This has hue versus hue and sat versus sat. So before, after, full. Bring some life back into that skin. I can probably lower this halfway. Split the difference a little bit. Don't raise it up too much. So it kind of desaturates all that nasty light. You know what? Let's do these two adjustments. And group level. So sat versus sat and swing in the red. So let's delete this here. We're in this group. Let's do a sat versus sat. Let's do it in parallel. So sat versus sat. Much better. And the highlights. So I'm just increasing, so the high sats, I'm leaving it alone. I'll leave it down here like that. And then the low sats, you're bringing them up. Sat versus sat. Ooh, left-handed typing. Look at that. And hue versus hue. And just swinging the red. See? Blotchy skin. Remember, I'm just adjusting the top two now. Evens it out. Magenta. Let's do the same thing with magenta. There you go. Don't like magenta on skin. Looks weird. Much. Look at that. Look at his face now. Wow. Much more natural. Look. Let's do all these. Before. Bring the life back. Look at that. The red I can swing a little bit more. And the green, let's see here if I rotate. Red, magenta. Two red. Now let me cheat towards green. And the sat versus sat, let me tone that down a little bit. Brings back some life. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it still kept that greenish, foreboding undertone. But now it brings back some life. Oh yeah. Guys, these two nodes were the missing ingredient. But I'm not undoing anything, remember, because I'm not trying to fix something. I'm trying to add it back in. So my look, it's not like I purposely desaturated it before. I was adding saturation in a different way. But I'm looking at this image, I'm like, man, it's like these guys are just, it's too much. I mean, and they're all kind of, they're white. They're all, you know, you gotta help them out a little bit. I'm like me, I'm pale white. So that, look at that. On. Oh yeah. And the thing is, like, this happens a lot with eyes sometimes. Like the white part of the eye is a little blue, but if I turn everything off, there is a little bit blue in there. You get me? So the gray just brings it out. So for me to get the eye completely white, there's even some like chroma stuff right here happening. For me to get the eye completely white, I would have to, you know, track this. So that's something that people would consider doing, you know, if it's really bothersome. But when you're playing it, let's just play this. Yeah, you don't know. I mean, when you're in the when you're in the world of that like shot, you get me? Like you don't notice it as much. You get me? But that's a detail that is not missed on me. You get me? Like, and this happens a lot. It's just especially newborn babies. Newborn babies, like the eyes are blue, like like the white parts, like, you know, because we just had a baby last year, and that's what our baby was. You know, the sclea, I think that's what it's called, is a little bit bluish until they start seeing better. But yeah. Much better. I think this is the missing ingredient. So let me do this. Let me copy these nodes, and then now go to this group and do the same little treatment. I can't. Let me do this. Let me just recreate that thing. There we go. Yeah, it's better that I don't copy it anyway, because I was supposed to do it from scratch. So sat versus sat, and hue versus hue. Man, look at me with the left-handed typing. Man. Yeah, that's what I did. The only difference between that group grid and this group grid is that and the exterior and interior is that I have the additional exposure help with these, but you know. So now let's do the same thing. Sat versus sat. Well, it looks good. Uh-huh. Put that glow on her face. Let me reset this. Go all the way up. Go hue versus hue now. Hit the reds. Nope. Yellows. Nope. Greens. This is where having a mini panel would help, because I'm just using the preset here. Maybe this doesn't need that part. So it definitely didn't need the hue versus hue like the other one. Let's look at this whole group. What if I send the hue here on my panel? And what if I go away from green here? May not have needed that. It's probably something that's reserved for the exteriors only, because the interiors are pretty much different lighting. Kind of like the way it was before. So less is more. Let's delete this. But I want something just to kind of try to figure out what to do. A little more moodier, which could add to what we're trying to accomplish here. This Hue Vs Lum, this was a new curve palette, I guess that's what you call it, that was introduced, I think, in Resolve 17 or 16. It wasn't always here. So it's very, well, you see how it pops out those little details? Let's go. I'm looking at the bottom right, current group. I love the dimension it brings. See, but then it kind of breaks this image right here. Look. See the trees and the past the window? See, it does that kind of weird thing to it, which I don't like. See, this is the trick, man. You got like everything. It needs to work for every shot. If you're making macro adjustments. And to be honest, I don't want to deal with having to fix stuff later. So even in the clip level, I don't want to do it. No. Yeah, there's no. Maybe a good old-fashioned Luma versus Sat might work well for these clips. No, we're just doing the bottom two. There's something good. I just want a little bit of separation, you know, like in those. And I don't want to mask, you get me? So that's why I'm doing with curves. Just very subtle. That little oomph to it, you get me? Just like I did with the top. But look, it's even matching the world of the top a little better. I can even go more. I'm maybe too subtle. Nice gentle curve. Ooh. Oh yeah. It's hard to tell, guys, but hopefully when I color grade the screen for you all. That was the oomph that I was missing. It brought these two worlds a little closer together, but in a different way. See, that's why this is in its own group, and I'm not treating the interiors like the exteriors. I'm done with the timeline grade for now. And something that I didn't do at all was contrast pivot. So I might do that in a pre-clip for both of these. Or maybe post-clip. Okay, what do I have here? Hue vs Hue. Lum vs Sat. Let's do these as their own parallels. So you copy one to the other and then delete the second one. So that will be Lum vs Sat, so I will delete the Hue vs Hue. And this will be Hue vs Hue, so I will delete the Lum vs Sat. Hue vs Hue.